Hi, this is Tom Johnson from I'dRatherBeWriting.com. We're at the STC Summit, and I am talking with Bill Swallow from upstate New York and Char James-Tanny from Boston, Massachusetts. And then there's a line on the microphone. We just had dinner down here in downtown Dallas, and I'd like to ask Char and Bill about kind of one of their reactions at the conference. I was talking with Bill earlier. He said that one thing that caught his attention, or was kind of on his mind, was this pay for content model, because it's kind of this thing that's being talked about with everything from the STC Bach initiative, the body of knowledge, to other kinds of things for revenue generation. But it's also just a generally interesting concept. This pay for content. So Bill, tell us, what are your thoughts about this? Like, what is it that is intriguing to you about this concept?
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Tom. Sorry, I was slowly distracted by a rather loud card with a dog.
People are.
I have varied thoughts, I think, really on the whole pay-per-content model, and I don't think that anything is either right or wrong. I think that we just need to be clear about what we're doing and where the content is going and how it's going to be used within society and outside of the society. My own personal views really are that I think to much of the extent the paid-for model for SIGs might be a little outdated, given all of the vast free social media outlets that there are out there, you know, between Twitter and the various listservs that have been around forever. But yeah, I think as long as we're clear about where the content is being used and how it's going to be accessed, I really don't have a problem.
Okay, so this is the problem. Everything is free now online, pretty much. Not everything, but more and more things are free. And yet you have the STC with this model that is kind of a little bit older, where you pay to get access. And many associations do as well, right? So I'm just wondering, can an association in its traditional structure survive in this more open and free model where people are used to getting podcasts for free? I mean, everything on iTunes is free as far as podcasts. The blogs are free. You get all this reading for free. How can you even charge money on the internet? What do you think, Char?
One of the things that the board heard from members over the years is we need more non-dues revenue. And when Susan first came on board, one of the things she did was an audit of how STC was run. And the fact is that for an association like STC, X% should be coming from dues, and we're at like X plus Y, where Y is a really big number. STC is way too dependent on dues to keep going forward. So what they're trying to do is find non-dues revenue sources, which means the dues don't have to go up, or if they go up, it's just the customary, you know, let's go up a couple of bucks a year kind of thing, not huge increases, in order to keep providing services.
So what are some revenue models that don't depend on dues? Like, how do you make money? And this is a larger question of, how do people make money online, giving away everything for free?
Several years ago, Seth Godin said there is a need for private networks that people will pay for. And I went, all we got to do now is figure out how to charge. And that was just along the lines Bill and I run HAT, okay, which is obviously a free network. And all I could think of was, wow, okay, if I could just figure out how they're doing it, that might actually have possibilities. And I wasn't thinking about it necessarily for STC, just thinking about it. And Chris Brogan, who is big on social media and PR, got together with, I think, 4 people, and they put together what's called Third Tribe. And they have 2,000 members who pay $47 a month to have exclusive content from these top people in marketing and PR and social media. Because what they're getting for their money is something they're going to be able to get a return on. They're going to be able to charge more because they have better knowledge. They get what they perceive as value from this Third Tribe. There's like a webinar every month. There are discussion groups. It's STC on a much smaller, well, actually a much bigger scale, I guess.
Fairly.
With 2,000 people. But the content is much more focused, and the names at the top are what people are going for. We get to talk to those people. I think there's a need there. I think it could be done. I think it just has to be figured out how.
you have any thoughts?
So it would be at that point be a matter of controlled quality of content at that point, where you know when you sign up that you have access to these cutting edge, brilliant minds. Whereas if you're on the internet, you may have access to thousands of blogs out there, but the majority of them may be garbage, may be wrong, highly opinionated.
They might not just serve the focus you need.
Correct.
And that's the...
You have to hunt and pick and choose, and the same author at any one period of time may be a reliable source, may be an unreliable source. Where if you have a more formal, controlled model for providing quality content to subscribing members, you have something there. You have at least an opportunity to provide people with really direct, factual, meaningful data.
So, what is your opinion then about the body of knowledge? This is going to be this giant resource with very targeted information to develop your career. It seems like it's the epitome of what you're describing in terms of this high quality information that's been distilled, peer reviewed, kind of filtered. Is that going to work, or is that going to flop?
That I don't know. I don't know nearly enough about the body of knowledge yet.
Oh, why look!
Right to Char.
And I didn't even need a laugh track. We did it ourselves. Okay, so this goes back to when the board had a presentation from somebody 3.5, 4 years ago on what it takes to be a profession. And a profession requires a set of ethical principles, a body of knowledge, and a certification. Because if you have those three things, you have a profession. Doctors have a ethical values, a body of knowledge that's, what is theirs, and a certification. So when you go to a doctor, depending on the letters they have after their name, you know exactly what those letters mean. You might not like the doctor. That isn't the question. The question is, what kind of knowledge does he have? And you can identify that. That's what we're aiming for. Because if you think about it, TechCom is not currently really a profession. We're getting there.
I would be very scared to have a doctor rely on public blogs as well for knowledge and information. I don't think I'd be using that doctor very much.
So, okay, I've heard this stated about having this a body of knowledge, set of ethical principles, and what was the third one? Certification. But you have people who start up an internet business, they don't adhere to any specific ethical principles, they don't have a certification. Like, where is this coming from? I can see it with the medical profession that yeah, they've got all of these things. But, is it really something that you look at on all the professions and they have this?
It probably depends on the profession, but it also probably depends on level of trust. We were talking about that the other day. You're at 2. We were talking about reliability. Yeah. Okay, let's go back. STC used to be a gathering of technical writers and editors, all right? And it was not a C3. Now it's a C3, a 501c3 under the United States IRS laws. And that means that the society is for technical communication. It is there to advance the knowledge of technical communication for people. The idea being that if you go to look for a job, this goes back kind of to my story today that I told when I was doing the HTML5 the interview, sorry. I was trying to get a job with digital back in the mid-'80s, and I couldn't. I didn't have a degree. All right, I stopped out after 103 credits. I couldn't get a degree because I didn't have the letters. I couldn't get a job because I didn't have the letters after my name. All right, that's kind of what this is coming from. You get the letters after your name, and now people, just like with DEC when they were interviewing people, I could have the same skill set, but I didn't have the letters. I lost out. The idea is to be able to make it so tech commerce can get letters after their name, which will now give them increased visibility, viability, trust, reliability in the eyes of any employers.
Thanks, Char, and thanks, Bill. Again, this is Bill Swallow and Char James-Tanny at the STC Summit.